Warning, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Hello everybody and welcome to the Derek Ruby Show. I am your host, the previously mentioned Mr. Ruby, and this is my review of Happy Death Day. So the movie starts off with a shot of a college campus, like I haven't seen that before. And this is our lead character, Tree, yes Tree, that's her name, played by Jessica Rothe, as she wakes up from a night of excessive drinking and has no idea how she got there. Her phone rings and she misses a call from her dad, and the guy's dorm she's in, Carter, played by Israel Broussard, who's looking like a young Tom Hanks in this movie. He asks her if she remembers his name. Of course she doesn't. She asks for Tylenol, and then Carter's roommate comes to the door and asks if he's still with that fine vagina. Tree leaves the dorm and begins the walk of shame. She goes across a girl asking her to sign a petition for global warming. The sprinklers go off, a car alarm goes off, and a guy passes out. These are all important points for later. Then she runs into a guy named Tim who she went on a date with, and Tim wants to know why she hasn't returned his phone calls, to which she replies,
Okay, I figured we had a nice time.
You had a nice time. I was miserable. I mean, who takes their first date to Subway? It's not like you have a foot long.
Bitch. So she goes home and ignores somebody on the way, and when she walks in the house she has a little talk with her sorority sister Danielle.
Oh my god. You sneaky little biatch. Who was it?
Nobody.
Sisters don't keep secrets.
Seriously, it was nobody.
Well, I hope nobody used a condom. We don't want somebody looking like a whore.
So she goes upstairs and her roommate Lori tells her how she was acting the night before, and then hands her a cupcake to tell her happy birthday. But she pretty much ignores her roommate and she throws the cupcake in the trash. So she goes to class, and the scene seems unimportant now because it's very short, but there will be more on it later. Afterwards, she attends the meeting that Danielle was talking about. And they pick on a girl named Becky, and Carter accidentally spills chocolate milk on Tree. Carter was there just to bring back a bracelet that Tree left at his dorm, but she pretends she doesn't know him and she blows him off. So Tree goes to the hospital and she runs into her roommate Lori.
So I guess I don't need to ask what you're doing here. Gotta go. Look, Tree, it's none of my business, but I think something like this is bound to have some pretty serious consequences. You're right. It is none of your business.
Bitch. So she goes to visit her college professor, Dr. Gregory, and it's revealed to us that they're having an affair. Gregory's wife shows up, and Tree gets the hell out of there. Then we see a scene of her painting her nails, and her sorority sister Danielle is wearing one of her dresses, and the lights go out, which will be important later. So she's walking down the street in the middle of the night, and she comes across a bunch of classmates dressed up in their school spirit attire, and one person wearing the school mascot mask turns around and looks at her. Then she starts to go down some stairs, and she hears a music box. And she does what all people do in horror movies. She goes down to take a look at it. A masked man shows up, and she threatens to call the cops on him. He then disappears momentarily. But then... Now, honestly, I have to say this. In most horror movies, people fall down for no apparent reason. It's always almost comical, even in the most serious horror movies. But yet, somehow in this one, it's actually a really good scene and it makes sense. Once Tree meets her untimely demise, she wakes up and we rinse and repeat the day again. She looks around, she's talking to Carter, she remembers his name, she asks for some Tylenol, she stares at the sticker on the door very hard. She comes outside, and we pretty much see the same thing we saw the last time, except she looks really confused. She talks to her sorority sister Danielle again and tells her she's been experiencing deja vu.
I'm totally having deja vu right now.
Oh, I have it all the time. It's supposed to mean like someone's thinking about you while they're masturbating. I have it at least 5 times a day.
She talks to her roommate Lori again. Lori gives her a cupcake for her birthday. Tree puts it on top of the desk, and she leaves it. Tree goes back to the meeting again, and she's staring at all the school merchandise and staring at the school mascot mask. And I'm telling you, man, I don't know what school on earth would have an ugly fucking mascot like that. But we basically have a repeat of the same thing from the day before, with Carter spilling the chocolate milk on Tree, but there's a slight difference. She has to ask for her bracelet back. So while the day's repeating, there are some subtle differences going on here. She goes to see Dr. Gregory. She wants to talk to him, but he misunderstands and thinks that she's falling in love with him. But she assures him that she's not, and they start making out. Then Gregory's wife shows up, and then we rinse and repeat. Now she's looking at her phone, watching her and her mom share a birthday cake, talks to her friend, and the lights go out. She's walking in the dark. She sees the same group of students again. The masked man stops. She looks at him, but he rejoins the rest of the students and goes on his way. Tree walks down the stairs, but this time, when she hears the music box, she gets the hell out of there. Tree goes home and knocks on the door, but she gets quite a surprise.
Surprise?
What the hell, Tree?
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I thought that you... I am so sorry.
Don't mess with the Kappa bitch.
So after knocking the hell out of her friend Nick, she's talking to him and Danielle, and he goes upstairs and she follows him. So after pulling off a quote jump scare in a movie probably, he attempts to seduce her with some really stupid music. But while she's not paying attention, the killer sneaks up on him. Then all hell breaks loose. This guy here, what a friend. So she wakes up again and we're starting to do our rinse and repeat routine, but this time she's freaked out. And I mean the scared kind of freaked out. She zips right out of Carter's room. She goes outside, she's looking around, she's just going crazy. And there's some good subtle cinematography here. Unlike the previous shots that were very similar, you can notice there's some camera angles changing. So Tree goes home and she talks to her roommate Lori and she tries to tell her all about it. Lori thinks it's some kind of a joke. Then Lori offers her a suggestion.
Why don't you skip class? Just take the day off and get some rest. I promise you'll feel better tomorrow. Okay?
So Tree decides to stay home. So she boards up the room. She puts a dresser in front of the door. She's talking to her roommate Danielle through the door. The power goes off. She sits down on the bed. She sees a mysterious birthday card that she hasn't seen before. Then the TV goes off, and she's freaked out and picks up a hammer, and she goes in the bathroom to check it out. But right when she's about to pull the curtain, the TV comes back on. And I guess you know what's probably about to happen. So hold up a minute. I do find this a little bit hard to believe. You boarded up the entire room because of how freaked out you were, and you didn't even check to see if somebody was in the room before you boarded it up? To top all that off, she hit the killer with a hammer. Now that right there should have rocked the killer's world. If she'd have followed up with a couple more hammer shots, this movie would be over. The mystery would be solved and the killer would be dead. But it's a horror movie. Now this time, Tree wakes up angry. I mean, she isn't just freaked out, she's freaked the fuck out. She throws her phone, she goes outside, and this is when the cinematography is really good. We've seen this shot 3 times now, but this time we have a little bit of shaky cam, which is actually shaky cam done right for a purpose. And you could just tell she's losing her mind. She's ready to have a nervous breakdown. And Carter, he comes up to her trying to give her back some of the clothes she forgot, and she gives him a hug. And it's just enough to calm her down. So Tree and Carter sit down and discuss the situation. And when Carter finds out it's her birthday, he says,
No, it's symbolic, okay? Whoever's killing you knows it's your birthday.
and so they go over a list of suspects that it could possibly be.
Okay, so Danielle, Gregory, his wife, Creepy Tim. Oh, that tiny girl from TJ Maxx that I got fired. And Maybe the Uber driver that I spit on last week. I think his name was... What?
Bitch. We also find out during this conversation that Carter slept in a different bed and he didn't take advantage of Tree the night before, and she smiles about it. Of course, Carter comes to the conclusion that everybody does in these movies.
The way I see it is you have unlimited amount of lives, so you have unlimited opportunities to solve your own murder.
So I'm just supposed to keep dying until I figure out who my killer is? That's your genius plan.
Do you have a better idea?
So she tries to find out who the killer is, and she finds out that Tim's gay. And she's able to eliminate suspects, and she gets killed over and over again. And you can tell she's pretty much over this, because at one point, she goes outside completely naked. Because why not? Nobody's going to know tomorrow. And after our little montage, we end with a good baseball bat to the head. Now she wakes up, but this time she doesn't feel so good, and she passes right the fuck out, and she wakes up in the hospital. Now Dr. Gregory explains to her that she has a lot of serious injuries, and she should really be dead at this point. She wants to leave, but he talks her into staying, so she tricks him. She sneaks into his office and steals his keys, and she finds a mask and she assumes it's him. But when she runs across Gregory... And now the chase is on, and I have to give it to it. This is a very action-packed, intense chase. It goes all over the parking lot. Tree's able to get away to the car, but the killer breaks the window with his elbow. Tree manages to reverse it, crashes it into the front of another car, and she drives away. And once she realizes she's gotten away, she celebrates.
I did it.
I did it! I did it! Woo! Yeah! Catch me now, bitch! Woo!
Then she gets pulled over by a cop, and the cop asks her if she's been drinking. And Tree responds,
I'm drunk.
You are.
Wasted. And I'm high. You know, pills, weed, you name it, man, I'm on it.
Well, then I'm gonna put you under arrest.
so it looks like it's going to work out for Tree. She's being arrested right now, but unfortunately... Then when the killer comes up to the car, Tree's screaming at the killer, wanting to know who it is, and the killer just walks away from the police car. And once again, things don't quite work out for Tree.
Oh, fuck.
This time when she wakes up, she gets the entire bottle of Tylenol and just downs it. Carter follows her out into the hallway and he wants to hear her story. So she takes a few minutes outside in the usual shot that we normally see and convinces him that she's repeating the day over and over again. So they go back to the restaurant and this happens.
That's impressive.
That was nothing.
Now normally I don't care for any kind of toilet humor, but since it makes sense for this movie, I'm going to let it slide this time. So we have the big reveal that Tree and her mom share the same birthday, and unfortunately her mother has passed away and it has driven a big wedge between Tree and her father. Then Tree says,
If my mom saw me now, you know who I've become. I don't think she'd be very proud.
Don't say that.
It's true. I'm not a good person, Carter.
Bitch, it took you over an hour and 2 minutes in this movie to figure out that you're being a bitch to everybody in your life. No wonder people want to kill you. Then we get a bullshit explanation about what might be happening with her.
See, that's just it. I don't think I have that many chances left. I keep on getting weaker every time I come back. So maybe I'm like that cat with 9 lives. Eventually, I'm gonna run out.
In the middle of all that, we see a news story about a murderer that's in the hospital, and Tree remembers him from earlier, and now she thinks she's figured out who the killer really is. Tree goes to the hospital and she's yelling at the nurse to go call for help. She runs by her and she breaks the glass and pulls the axe out of it, and she heads down to the prisoner's room, and she sees the security guard on the ground. Of course, the killer takes her by surprise, and he shoots the nurse and chases her down the hallway. The killer reveals himself, and it is the prisoner, and when he's about to finish Tree off, Carter saves her. So she picks up the gun and she goes to shoot the killer. Unfortunately, the gun doesn't have any bullets left in it. He chases her down the hallway and they end up in a bell tower because obviously all hospitals have bell towers. But she gets the drop on him and knocks the fuck out of him. Now she could finish him off right now, but then she remembers.
Carter. I'd always said this day he's gone forever.
So she runs up the stairs, ties a noose around her neck, and she hangs herself, sacrificing herself for Carter, who just sacrificed himself for her. So she wakes up and she smiles and hugs Carter. She's got it all figured out now. She goes outside, she signs that petition. She tries to set things right in her life. She's a reformed bitch now. She puts a pillow on a guy's head. She even tells Tim that she knows he's gay and that he needs to go out there and...
Now you go out there and get yourself a fine piece of man ass.
Then when she goes back to the sorority house, she has a nice little exchange with Danielle.
Oh my god. You sneaky little biatch.
His name's Carter. No, we did not have sex. But if I finally make it through this day somehow, I'm gonna have his babies. Lots to do. Gotta go.
So she goes upstairs and she apologizes to Lori for being a bad roommate and asks to start over. She's really trying to make an effort to set things right in her life. Tree goes to class and yells for Dr. Butler to come in the hallway so she can break off their relationship, and basically tells him that if he's going to cheat on his wife, he should have the balls to just leave. We go back to the meeting scene in which Danielle starts picking on Becky, but Tree's having none of it, and she picks the chocolate milk up and dumps it on her head. Then she kisses Carter very passionately, and she even meets with her dad. Like I said, she's a reformed bitch now, and everything is lollipops, rainbows, and unicorns. Now she's channeling her inner Sarah Michelle Gellar, getting her Buffy the Vampire Slayer on as she gets ready for the night. So she brings a knife and she takes a gun from the cop and confronts the killer. She tries to shoot him, but unfortunately the safety is on, and the big confrontation happens. Right when things look bad, the blackout happens. Now she has the gun.
Safety's off. Thanks for the tip.
Now everything is finally over. She goes on her little date with Carter, celebrates her birthday, has the cupcake, and goes to bed. Surprise, the day repeats. I guess we didn't see that coming. So yeah, she has a complete meltdown and rushes home, and she's gonna leave town, which seems like the most sensible thing to do in this situation. Lori offers her the cupcake for her birthday, but then Tree has a revelation.
Oh my god. I died in my sleep.
What?
You killed me.
What?
You poisoned it.
Of course, Lori denies this, but Tree challenges her.
Prove it.
Go on, Lori. Take a bite. Go on, Lori.
You really are crazy.
Okay, then. We'll take it down to the police. I'm sure they can tell us what your little birthday treat is made of.
Then she finds out that Lori's been killing her over Gregory Butler, the college professor and doctor. And then a real badass catfight happens. Danielle distracts Lori for only a second by knocking on the doors, just like it's a wrestling match. and Tree gets the upper hand. Danielle wants to know what's going on, and Tree has a pretty good response.
Lori. Hey. My cupcake.
Then Carter and Tree see Danielle on the news, they talk about the day's events, and then Carter brings up how everything that's happened to Tree is like Groundhog Day. So the movie itself is actually making reference to what it rips off. Nice. Then the day starts again, but this time it's just a joke that Carter pulled on Tree. And if she killed him, I don't think anybody would blame her. The roommate walks in and they toss him out, and we end with a kiss and a shot of the nice bumper sticker on the wall. And that was Happy Death Day. What do I think about it? The movie has a lot of positive things going for it. It has likable characters, pretty good actors. The cinematography on this movie was amazing. I love the way they do the shots to set up all the different tones and moods for the different days. That in itself is pretty brilliant. I like how they toned down some of the horror tropes, like the way she falls in the first death scene, but at the same time they can't stay away from them all. If there is a major criticism I have about this movie, don't try to explain what's really going on with the character and why she's repeating the day if you're really not going to. You're better off not giving the audience any explanation as to what happens. It's not like they really reveal anything, but if you're going to go that route, then you need to go ahead and put it all out there, because they try to give you these BS explanations to make you think, but in reality they don't explain nothing and they make absolutely no sense. When she talks about having 9 lives, but she's died like hundreds of times and has no problem killing herself so Carter should live, it completely contradicts itself. The ending of the movie's pretty good. Lori being the killer is not necessarily the best thing, but it's not the worst either. Whenever I saw the candle come out of the cop car, I was pretty sure it was her. They did have an alternate ending where the doctor's wife kills Tree, and I'm glad they didn't go with this because that would have been really obvious just to have the one character in the movie for one scene and then it turn around and it be her. But I do find it hard to swallow, whether it would have been the doctor's wife or Lori, that they could take a hammer hit to the head or bust a car window with their arm and be just fine. This movie describes itself as a mix between Scream meets Groundhog Day. But I would also add Clueless in there because it really has that early 2000s, late 90s high school college vibe to it. It's pretty solid. I would say that most people that don't even like horror movies would actually like this one. Wikipedia describes it as a slasher. I guess it is, but it's kind of more of like a slasher subtle comedy. Overall though, plot holes notwithstanding, it is a pretty good movie. I would definitely recommend that you watch it on demand or buy it. It's not that expensive right now. It's not a bad film to have in your collection. It's definitely worth a rent, but I don't think it's a film you're going to watch 600 times and be looking back as this being a total classic, especially because it's basically rehashing an old idea. And I would also add there are some movies out there that have taken this concept and some TV shows and actually done this better. But I would have to give Happy Death Day 3.5 stars. So guys, I just wanted to remind you that I recently hit 500 subs and I have a 500 sub video with an appreciation poll on it. Now the poll ends Tuesday, so if you would like to cast your vote to steer the direction of this channel, I'll leave the link in the description below and go ahead and leave your comment before Tuesday, so that way your voice can be heard. If you happen to see this video after Tuesday, remember, you can always leave a suggestion in the comments of something that you would like to see on this channel. So thank you guys for watching The Derek Ruby Show. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And as always, have a good one. And I'll see you guys next time.
I'm totally having deja vu right now.
Oh, I have it all the time. It's supposed to mean like someone's thinking about you while they're masturbating. I have it at least 5 times a day.